One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. So let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free. Mentally and physically, emotionally, spiritually. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm standing at the crossroads, feeling like a lost soul. Don't know where I wanna go, but all I know is I wanna be free. They're telling me to let it be, but that just ain't in me, no. Jealousy and envy, but all I see is I wanna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Don't let it get the most of me. Eventually, I'm gonna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm gonna be free. Let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free. Mentally and physically, emotionally and spiritually. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I told them take their aim off me. Stop trying to get a name off me. If they would just let me be, I'm gonna be free. I told them take them chains off me and throw away the locks and keys. If they would just let me be, eventually I'm gonna be free.
They're back.
What up, though? What up, though? 7 days, and we're back again for another trip to the Diamond Effect. I'm Archbishop. My Mike Ball, got Aaron Olinger. What's up, everybody? Glad y'all tuning in. We got another pretty good show. I mean, I think it'll probably enlighten a lot of people dealing with what we're talking about tonight. But before we get into it, like always, we check and see what everybody done for the week. So I'll hit with you first, Aaron. How was your week, brother? How you doing?
Oh, it's pretty good. And again, I'm in my class stage right now, trying to get some classes in before the end of the year. I went and took some editing classes at a local TV station. And then later this month, around the 7th and 8th, I'm going to take a class on how to use the studio cameras. So I'm wanting to learn that. And again, I'm sporting my Diamond Effect t-shirt here.
Yeah, I see that.
That's right.
Everybody should get the stuff. It's great gear. But that I'll stop there for right now.
Man, you making me sound like I haven't done shit, which I haven't. But the update on the week is I'm getting my car back tomorrow from the dealer. It's been a big ass ordeal. I think I told you guys last week, but I'm finally getting everything. I mean, they had to swap the whole engine and everything. So they replaced everything, and now they're that was the final decision, was to swap everything, and now it's completely done as of tonight, and I go pick it up tomorrow. So that's exciting, but nothing like what Aaron's doing down here.
That's what's up. Well, the week was pretty good. I had my birthday was Saturday, so
Right.
I turned
How was that?
a big 50 on Saturday. So
Sheesh.
so this weekend, you know what I mean, I kind of hung out with the fellas a little bit and had a good time. Had a real good time. All you ones that showed up in Tampa, they all know we had a real good time, and that's been about it, man. Been like I said, working a lot. We have got a new film we're gonna be working on here soon. We're doing casting calls and stuff for that, so that's been keeping me pretty busy. But everything's going good. Can't complain. You know what I mean? I thank God for another year around the
That's
sun,
right.
and just pray for many more. But we're gonna jump into this story, and I think this story will pretty much be for every single person that's watching. It's gonna be able to relate to this some way, shape, form, or fashion. So my opening to this is you ever get the feeling that the game is rigged? Not just against the poor, but against everyone trying to level up.
Mhm.
Because every time you get a little bit ahead, rent goes up, groceries double, and your bank account looks like it's got a slow leak. It
Dwindling.
isn't. It's not just inflation. This is by design. They're not accidentally wiping out the middle class. They're strategically dismantling it. But why? Because a strong, free, and financially independent population is dangerous to the people that want to control everything. From the World Economic Forum to the billion-dollar neighborhoods, it's pretty much plain and clear that you will own nothing and you will be happy.
Mhm.
But not if we see this ahead of time and play the game before it's finished. So tonight we're gonna talk about the middle class. We're gonna talk about exactly what it is. We're gonna talk about the reasons why we think that is being erased. So that's our topic for the evening. But when we talk about the middle class, the old definition of the middle class is a group of people that has stable jobs, a home, 2 cars, a garage, access to education, healthcare, and the ability to, save up money, 401ks, whatever, you be able to retire at a young age. But the real middle class right now is about economic independence, that you don't need government aid and billionaire employers in order to survive. Ownership of your home, your car, motorcycle, maybe a business, stocks, maybe. Now a lot of people invest in crypto. Stability, that you're not living from check to check. Your mobility, to where you're able to save, invest, and actually build the future that you wanted. Back in the day, they always said if you wanted to get somewhere, you had to work hard, and if you work hard, everything would pay off for itself. But that's not what's going on these days. And then also, the key thing is to have a voice, whether it's for political or social influence, because you're not too broke to care at the end of the day. It's the class of people who have enough to question power, build generational wealth, and be able to pass the knowledge along with the freedom on to your children, next children, so on and so forth. But that's not what we have now. And what we have now is like a buffer between the top 1% elite and the poor. And without the middle class, you only have 2 options, which is just that, the rich and the poor. But what fuels the economy? The middle class. You have Uh, the middle class, they spend, they build, they got small businesses, they hire,
Biggest consumers.
keep the economy moving. They're the engine. They're not the elite. This is the regular mom and pops, opening up businesses. This is the people that opens up the car washes, and the barber shops, all of them. Those are all, examples of like middle class businesses.
Or blue collar workers, trade workers, stuff like that.
Right. Trade workers, people working in the factory, skilled workers.
Totally.
The list goes on. It creates freedom, but it also creates options. So when you own those things and you have money saved, you can say no. You got the ability to say no to a toxic job if you don't want to work it. You can start your own business. You can go out and actually fight for change without having it held against you. You know what I mean? You can go out and go to city council meetings and voice your opinions without it coming back on you. And it also supports democracy and the balance. You know what I mean? Because middle class voters have historically been harder to manipulate because they're informed, they're invested, and they're harder to control. So when the middle class disappears and society becomes a plantation of Wi-Fi,
reliant,
you have a tiny elite living group in the clouds, and everyone else is basically surviving in the shadows. That's why keeping the middle class alive isn't just about economics. It's about freedom, dignity, and the right to choose your own future.
Mm-hmm.
But the way things are going right now with different economic changes and stuff like that, it faces that's what we're going to get into tonight. I know, Aaron, you had some stuff that you wanted to bring up first, so I'm gonna let you.
Okay.
Start off.
Yeah,
real quick, before you do, Aaron, I just got to read this real quick. NPC, the game comes in. By the way, I very much appreciate him saying congratulations on getting your car back. Look, he sent $150 in his currency over there. I appreciate you, man. Let's bring back the middle class now. Hey, absolutely, man. I'm all for it, but I think that we see some manipulation here going on from the government, right, Aaron?
Well, hell, mine broke down too.
Yeah, shit.
Go ahead, Aaron.
Okay. Well, like you said, the middle class was once a symbol of the American dream. Basically, you owned your own home. You had a family that you could afford to raise. You had one or two cars in the garage. You could take your family on family vacations if you wanted to. You had money in the bank. You could afford your children to go to private school and even college. I mean, if you were middle class, you could consider yourself to have made it in life. I've made it. I'm somebody, and I can give a good life to my family. Now we fast forward from 71 till now. And today, if you're middle class, and the experts are saying this, the middle class is being squeezed. It's a redirection of the wealth, and it's a redistribution of the wealth with many other factors being involved. I mean, if you're middle class today, you can honestly say that there will be some years that you will be damn near broke or close to it. You will struggle through some years to get back and try to level back up. And you're like riding a roller coaster right now. And that's because the middle class lifestyle is becoming uncertainty. I mean, we learned during COVID that those who were doing great suddenly were doing bad. I mean, anything can happen. I mean, I tell people all the time that if you tell me, well, I'm middle class, I got 100,000 in the bank, I got good insurance or whatever, I tell them in a minute, you're one major operation, one major illness, one major accident away from being broke. Because
very true.
High cost of medical today is astounding, and it will just break you up. And then insurance is expensive. Cars are expensive.
Dude, it was $1.5 million to keep me alive. You know what I mean? And then I had to come out of pocket and settle that bill. at my money after someone else did that to me. So I get it, man. It's crazy.
Wow. I mean, you look right now for the middle class. To be middle class, you have to be making 64,000 to 191,000, depending upon what state you're in. Now, in 2020, middle class was 53,000 to 160,000, again, depending upon what state you were in. Average car cost right now is $48,400. Average truck cost is $59,000. Average SUV costs $47,000. The average home price, $503,000 for 2025, depending upon what state you're in. Now, where I'm at in Ohio, the average home price is $238,000. That's up 4.7%. To raise a child in Ohio from age 0 to 18 is $220,000, 785. Now,
That's what I
average.
feel like I spend every 5 years and I got one.
Okay. The yearly average is 21,000. The average in the United States is $389,000 to raise a kid from age 0 to 18. I mean, to be middle class now, you have to even plan if you're going to have a kid because it's expensive. The average grocery bill, $504 a month. When I was a teenager, $40 filled your grocery card up. But because of inflation, it don't touch it. And back when I was younger, chicken and hamburger was the cheapest meat that you could buy. I mean, if you didn't have nothing, you could always afford chicken and hamburger. But now because of inflation, hamburger costs what steak used to cost now. So, I mean, it's getting ridiculous. Mike, do you mind putting the first picture up?
Absolutely. I got you
Okay.
on this one.
Yes.
Let me go ahead and bring us. There we go.
Okay. As people can see, from 1971, you can see that middle class made up 61% of the population. You go all the way over to 2019, they're only making up 51%. And now that it's 2025 and the middle class is being squeezed even more, you can clearly see it's a slow motion death spiral that's happening. They're squeezing the middle class out. They're systematically eliminating.
It almost looks like, honestly, I would expect there be a bigger decline than what that graph is even saying. But it's kind of radical, though.
Yeah, and then
Ooh,
put
that's
up the
just
second.
19. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure it's
put up
probably
the
going to be lower than that.
Yeah, put up the second picture.
There we go.
Now, what you're looking at here is over the past 50 years, income has only gone up 16%. But yet we've had a large number of jobs leave the country that were good paying jobs between $20 or more an hour. You look at the cost of housing there, gone up 190%. Look at the cost of education, up 264%.
That's like a manipulation on education for sure. Look at that.
I mean, and like I said, I just quoted what the average car costs. I mean, when I was in high school, you can get a Fleetwood Brougham Cadillac for $10,000. You can't even smell one for that price right now. So you can just about forget it. They're systematically redistributing the wealth. They're taking it from the highest tax-paying group because the middle class paycheck is highly taxed and has gone up over the years. I mean, if you're making, say, $700 or $800 a week gross, they're taking somewhere between $350 to $400 of it in just taxes. And then you pay higher taxes at the stores. Your food prices are going up. You've got, everything's going up across the board. Clothing, there's nothing that's cheap anymore. So they're literally stripping people's bank accounts. And you've got a lot of middle class people right now that are trying to live on their credit cards to try to sustain their lifestyles. and 25% of those people can no longer afford to even make their credit card payments. So they're defaulting. I mean, it like I said, it's a slow motion death spiral. They don't want to make it too obvious because you might have a revolution on your hands. But if you could slowly start taking the money from them, increase inflation on one end, and on the other end of the candle that you're going to light fire to them on, you raise prices on everything. Gasoline costs more, dental work, medical expenses. I don't care what's out there. It costs to live now.
Real
And
quick,
the middle
I want to
class.
address this. Not to cut you
Go
off, I
ahead.
do want
Go
to
ahead.
address this. NPC says, "Is the upper class increasing?" I told him I'd look it up right now. So in 1971, about 14% of U.S. adults were in upper income households, and by 2021, that number had increased to 20%. So yes, it did grow by 6% in that time frame. So yes, it's showing the upper classes obviously more are becoming upper class, and the lower class is becoming lower. It's just unfortunately you see this divide here, and that's the discussion.
Right. You've got the top 1% is making most of the gains from the economy. That's the way the system is set up. You have the government policies that have been put in place to where the top 1% can make the money, but it's not trickling down to the middle class. And it's definitely not trickling down below that. So that top 1% is not going to increase by very much because there's going to be very few people that's going to be able to move up to that upper category. Because right now, to own a home on, say, in a major city on a coastline somewhere, you're supposed to be making $300,000 a year to afford it. The average person, you've only got, was it 20% that are making over 200,000 a year? No, 10% that's making over that. I mean, people are being priced out. And what Bishop said about what the global elites are saying about how the World Economic Forum is saying that the day will come where you will own nothing and be happy. The Federal Reserve is saying the same thing. Everything is going to be rented. You're not going to be able to afford a car. You're not going to be able to afford a house. You're going to have to rent everything. And they're telling you what's coming. They're laughing about it. And they're going to strip you of whatever money you got because they're going to keep raising the prices. They're going to keep raising the inflation. They're going to lower wages so you can't put money back.
Real
I
quick,
mean,
I wanted to
go ahead.
I wanted to say this, and I want to see if you agree with this, Aaron. Mr. Mister says he's really good on his investigation work, by the way. He says 2% wage growth, stock market surges, but the Fed refuses to drop the interest rate. The EU said they will not drop the rates. You're onto something. The global banks are playing games. What do you think about that?
Oh, I think he's spot on with that. Federal Reserve is playing games. And when you look at the Great Depression, when it first happened, it's because Federal Reserve raised rates instead of lowering them, and it was all done on purpose. And a lot of those on paper millionaires were jumping out windows and was put into soup lines. I mean, the ruling elite got rid of them out of the country clubs. And I'm telling you, right now, single family homes are going to catch hell in this type economy that we're in. You're gonna need a team. You're gonna need two people working together to provide a lifestyle. And even then, they're not going to be able to enjoy the same luxuries that maybe my parents were able to give to me when I was growing up. And I'm talking about my daughter and my grandchildren. It's going to be a struggle for them to make it, where middle class was always a safe category to be in. Now it's tough to hold on and maintain. But I'm gonna stop there.
Okay. Let me give you a shout out real quick before I go ahead and show what I'm gonna say here. NPC the game. Appreciate you very much. The 150 donation for the birthday. Appreciate you.
Wow.
So what I'm gonna say about that, I'm gonna kind of piggyback a little bit on what you said.
Mhm.
And like I said, like this isn't like a this isn't like a sudden collapse
Mm-mm.
for what it seemed like. It seemed like it's like a slow, how you put it? It's like a slow choking off of
Yeah,
oxygen, kind of basically what it seems like. So
it's
you got
engineered.
exactly. So you got wage stagnation. You got the cost of just regular survival skyrocket. This was like your rent, your groceries, your child care, your health care is up. And all that eats up your paycheck. Then you have the student loan trap, which you got millions of young people that's early adulthood. They get in the hole anywhere between 50 to 100,000 in student loan debt, stuff like that. And a lot of them, they stay in that hole. A lot of them don't no matter what job they make, they ain't paying it off. Then you got the credit trap, you know what I mean, where people borrow.
I think that's one of the biggest issues.
Right. They borrowing on these credit cards, and then, you know what I mean, when it's time to pay those cards off, of course, they don't have the money. And it keeps building. You know what I mean? And the interest on some of them damn cards is ridiculous. You know what I mean? You've seen cards that's like 38, 39%. You know what I mean? So them cards gonna hit you in the mouth.
I was offered my car loan at 23%. I mean, I have dog shit credit, granted, obviously, but at 23%, like that's a credit card, bro. That's insane. Now, the question I kind of bear from this is, yes, I see that this can be a governmental control, keep them poor kind of thing and relying on us. But at the same token, we're such a society that is service-based. You know, we're not used to growing up in like a third world environment, you know? So when all of this gets taken away, how do they think that they're actually going to maintain control when it gets out of control, when there's no middle class anymore? I mean, it's kind of like a double, like I understand the governmental standpoint of governmental control, but when you lose, people become desperate, shit gets fucked up. It just does. So how do they balance this? It's odd to watch.
It's what digital currency. That's what they're getting ready to bring forward. That's the new control mechanism that they're going to have. Is that digital currency? They're going to have a rent life society, and you're going to have the ruling elite, and you're going to have the poor. I mean, health, education, food, it's all going to be controlled by mega corporations. They've already got this thing all planned out. That's the reason why they're bringing in AI right now, because AI is going to help bring this about. I mean, and AI is also bringing in a loss of jobs. I mean, between the high inflation,
true,
combined with the labor shortages, because and by labor, I'm talking jobs that pay $20 an hour or higher, something that's going to give you a chance at a living wage. And then the higher poverty among families over what they was 50 years ago. We got higher poverty now than what our parents had 50 years ago.
Right.
And people don't see it. And our economy is hanging on by a thread right now. But this whole thing is going to be headed toward a digital currency, and they're going to have to bring everything down. The wealth gap is going to widen. And unfortunately, that's going to go across race as well as class. I mean, like I said, price is the last legal form of discrimination. If you can't afford the house, you can't afford the car, you can't afford to rent it, you won't be in it.
That's right. The only thing they see is green. You know what I mean? It's not white, black in between.
You won't be moving next door to some of these rich folks. They won't even have to look at you. But, you know, you're going to have gentrification. You're going to have urban displacement. There's going to be educational barriers that's going to be in place because people can't afford to go to certain schools to get an equal education. I mean, someone coming out of Harvard is going to be considered a much better catch than somebody coming out of Sinclair College, you know.
Sure.
It's going to make a difference. And they're doing that on purpose. It's a slow motion engineered by design to bring down the middle class and put everybody under a subservient government that they can be easily controlled. They want everybody to be dependent upon the system, where on this channel we preach independence, we preach self-reliance. They don't want that. They want you dependent upon them for everything. And they want you to be very compliant, very obedient. That's the reason why I personally feel they're waiting on a lot of us older folks, baby boomers, to die out so that they could bring it forward, because they know a lot of these young people will just go for anything, where we might argue the issue and could be a problem. But I think it's going to come about in the next 10 to 20 years myself. I don't think the US dollar as a currency has that much life left in it, because we already are past the 90, 94, 95 years that most currencies last. We're at like 107 or 100 and something. And the dollar's a little long in the tooth, and the Federal Reserve and everybody wants to come forward with their AI. They want to come forward with digital currency. They're chomping at the bit to do this stuff, because they want to control our spending and they want to control us. And I'll stop there.
But you know, one of the easiest ways to find out who's winning when the middle class loses, follow the money.
Right.
The easiest way. I mean, because you
That's
got these corporations that consolidate power. You got big tech, big pharma, big finance. These groups got richer during crisis like COVID. You have private equity buying firms like BlackRock and Vanguard that buying up entire neighborhoods to convert them into rentals, so that families do basically rent for life. You know what I mean? They get in neighborhoods and they're never going to buy. They're just going to sit there and constantly rent. And every year they raise the rent. You know, then you have the stock market versus real life, because the market hits records when people were unemployed. That's not recovery. That's extraction. It's not the same. So the market goes up. The people that's in the market, the ones that invested millions of dollars in the market, yeah, they paid off. But for the middle class, what did it help? Nothing. Your ass still broke. You know what I mean? And everything else is basically rising around you.
Yeah, everything is an attack on it.
Yeah.
Everything.
Because we showed from that chart, wages over the last 50 years has only gone up 16%. But everything else is I mean, almost doubled in price. And our wages are not keeping up with it. And, you know, the cities and municipalities aren't going to argue, because if the property values go up, that's more in taxes they get to take in. So they're not going to argue against it.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
you know,
Because the system wasn't built to fail.
right.
It was built to succeed and have success for them, but not for you.
Right.
That's always been the problem. But then you have, okay, so what about the international design for this? Who benefits from this vanishing middle class? Now, on this, I'm not just talking about the US, I'm talking about all these other countries too, because they all got the same problems. You know what I mean? Everybody, for real, in all these countries are all experiencing this economic, turn, you know what I mean, for the worse here lately. Everybody done experienced it. You got Japan, who their stock market crashed not too long ago. You know what I mean? China, it almost crashed not too long ago. It didn't crash here, but it made a little spiral there, you know what I mean, for a minute. So
During those tariffs?
the UK had problems, Canada had problems, you know what I mean? So it wasn't just us that's experiencing this. It's going global. And a lot of these countries is already adapted to some of this digital currency and stuff like that, the social credit checks and everything else.
I wonder if BRICS is onto that too, like that, to that degree. I wonder if they are like getting involved in that quicker than we are, kind of thing.
Oh, I would say so.
Yeah, I would say so.
Because
and the fact
China,
that most of them that's involved in it is in BRICS.
yeah,
Right,
because
right.
China has UBI, Universal Basic Income, that credit system that they're already put their people on. And that's going to be eventually adapted over here. I mean, they want a compliant population dependent upon the UBI and government services. They don't want you doing stuff for yourself and doing whatever. They want less economic independence, which is going to equal less economic power, I mean, political power. So they want you totally just compliant. Whatever the government comes to you with, I'm going to roll over. I'm going to go for the okey doke. And yeah, I'm okay with it. I'm okay.
Well, kind of like what Archbishop, remember when we interviewed that, I forget his name, that the government just took his land. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like ownership is just like you think that right now. We're gonna the government wise, they're like we'll allow you to think that you have this shit until we come in and if we want that, no matter for whatever reason, it could be for just because you look a certain way, but they can take it obviously for what anything below the land. They can just take your shit.
Well, I'm gonna say this. You are right. And on in the survival community, we all know one particular thing, and that is property taxes. You know, people struggling to pay that now. But what if a national emergency is declared and they decide to raise your property taxes to 1,000 a month?
Totally.
How about 10,000 a month? How about 50,000 a month? How long could you still hold on to your property? And once you can't pay your taxes, even though the property is paid off,
You're out.
they can take it.
Yep.
They'll give you 2 years to try to catch up, and if you can't catch up, they take it from you.
Yeah, and they're obviously willing to play that long game with you while you're struggling in water over there trying to survive. Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible that they're allowed to do that shit.
Right. Now, I wrote down something here earlier, well, yesterday, and it was kind of where conspiracy meets reality when it comes
True.
to it. Okay, so I have like the poor, for instance, they're easier to control. Why? Because people are struggling financially, so they have less time to protest, vote, organize. They're too tired, too busy, too anxious. They ain't even worried about it. Only thing they worried about is trying to survive every day. That's all they're worried about. Then you have the UBI and the digital welfare, which is basically they offer a universal basic income, but they have strings.
A UBI.
You need a
Yes, sir.
right. You need a digital ID. Your spending is tracked, and if you complain about it, then you're gonna get cut off. But then also back what I said earlier about the World Economic Forum is that they're saying by 2030 you'll own nothing and be happy. They're not hiding that plan. They're advertising it. I mean, but how many people actually pay attention to that? And the key point to that is that the middle class threatens elite control because it creates independent thinkers, business owners,
Mm-hmm.
and local leaders that actually stand up, for the middle class. If they can keep that divide where you have the elite and the poor, get rid of the middle, then they can control anything they wanted to.
I just
And
don't see
everything
how
that
that's
they've been
sufficient,
advertising
though.
will take place. Say what though?
How's that sufficient, though? Like, wouldn't you want, like, ideally, I mean, I understand on a control thing, but on a societal level, I would even put aside my own power, theoretically, from the government to allow a good economic. I mean, that's the way that things flow. I mean, that's where things are bought, jobs are created, all of these things. The beginning of a huge business, whatever. I just don't see how that's sufficient for them.
Well,
I mean,
I'm
I
a-
understand on a ownership and a control issue, but how is that sufficient to them?
Well, I'm gonna use New York as an example. A lot of money flows through New York City. Those people don't own cars. They don't own their homes. Everything is rent controlled. And they pay such high taxes that as fast as that money comes in, it goes right back out. And it keeps circulating in the economy, keep the economy rolling. So New York would be the best example I can give right now. I'm sure there's other cities that are similar, but I would roll with that right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you ask yourself this. So where is this all going?
Mm.
Um, and I had it titled "A Future of Dependence and Digital Change" because that's where we headed to.
Makes sense.
And if these trends continue, then what we're heading towards is a modern feudal society where there's no ownership.
Mm-hmm.
You got a gig economy. Your CBDCs, you can only spend what the system allows. You cross the line, you're gonna get locked out. The AI replaces all the jobs. You become economically irrelevant if you don't upgrade or comply with what's going on. You know what I mean? Because a lot of these companies, even the ones that's talking about coming back into the States, which is going to take several years for that even to transpire, a lot of them are going AI and automated. So unless you are one of them CNC machinists or computer programmers or whatever that can actually be there just
Maintain
to just to
whatever.
do your little maintenance to make sure everything runs as it's supposed to be, you're not going to have a job. They don't need packers. They don't need people to sort and stuff. They don't. I mean, they going beyond all that. I mean, hell, you even got semi trucks right now that's actually running by remote. You know what I mean? So they're trying to do away with all of that. So if you don't have a job and you don't have a job, you don't have money. What are you gonna do? You're gonna take what they give you,
Yep. And I'm
and
I'm
you be
gonna
happy,
mhm.
which is
and,
what they're saying.
and I'm gonna add to what you're saying in my area, and I don't know how many other companies are practicing this, but because of the high cost of medical expenses that's going on, a lot of the companies, if you work full time, that will give you insurance, they will only insure you, not your wife, not your children, just the employee. And when I learned that just recently, I was like, that is ridiculous. I can't believe that. But it's actually going on. They're cutting corners, and most of the time they don't even want to hire you full time. They just hire you part time and work your full time hours, and just use you any way that they want. And there's not too much you could do about it unless you're willing to go somewhere else and get another job. But some of these companies are not paying the benefits they used to pay no more. They're just cutting back, which puts greater strain on the average household.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I mean, this is okay. So let me ask you this. Um, Basically, like a call to action question that I'm gonna ask you both. So, how do you resist this?
Go into the trades, plumber, electrician, things that AI can't replace, service industry, lawn care, snow removal. You got to go into areas that automation cannot touch you. And the trades is the best way to go. I mean, a welder, they make 50 or 60 bucks an hour. Uh, there's other trades that are out there, bricklayer, mason person. They're making some serious money. Yeah, it's blue collar work, and yeah, it's labor work, but if you can keep your health up and keep eating proper to keep your health up, you can make some serious money and not have to worry about it. Well, if the job closes down, I've got skills where I can go somewhere else, especially if I'm a journeyman. I can go anywhere with my degree or whatever and pick up a job at any construction site if they know I'm a journeyman. So you got to go into avenues that cannot be replaced. I mean, back when I was in high school, a key punch operator was a top paying job. But as soon as computers became more automated, they didn't need key punch operators to make them big decks of cards that they put in to run a computer program. And all those people who was making 60, 70,000 a year was without work because they were obsolete. So you got to look in what direction AI is going in and which way the government's going with all this crap. And then you guys start picking and choosing. And then along with choosing the trades, you got to have a side hustle that you can make some money at. Like when I worked at GM, I was doing the gun shows, and I'm still doing the gun shows even though I'm retired. But you got to have a side hustle. And that especially applies if you're a single family home. But if you've got a wife or a spouse or somebody that's willing to work with you to get somewhere, you ain't got to love each other, but you got to come together to make that money and have a better life. You know, sometimes you just got to swallow your pride, because nobody ever said you was going to be happy. It's for rich or poor, sickness and health. Happiness had nothing to do with it. So I'll stop there.
Oh yeah,
Archbishop, to
absolutely.
answer that question though, on what do we do, and I agree with Aaron, going into trades, figuring out those kind of money making skills, absolutely. I would also just add to that and say, if you're at a job or whatever, let's say, I mean, I was a part of the ILWU on the Marine Division side. If you start seeing automation becoming part of your job, it's probably smart to learn that automation and learn how to maintain that and get ahead of the curve, instead of sitting back and just letting guys get promoted into big maintenance positions to run this automated machine. You should become that guy. Get ahead of the ball. You got to have some initiative, and that's what other people are doing, is they're being initiative on stuff like AI or automation or any of these things. You have to get on top of the ball on what you can do to maintain or contribute to that. I would give that is probably one of the biggest things in any job. If you see any type of automation becoming a part of your daily life, you might want to learn about it and learn how to maybe maintain it or reboot it, whatever the case is, right? Study it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, because you think right now AI is basically that's basically everything is being based off at now, which
Right.
is weird because like we heard about AI years and years ago. You know what
True.
I mean? You heard about it, and
When
like
it
a
was a
lot of the stuff
conspiracy
that we
theory.
see, right? During that time, there was a whole conspiracy theory. You know what I mean? Just like when Terminator came out, and they was talking about Star took over everything. You know what I mean? Now we got AI and we got Skylink. You know what I mean? So
True.
both are in comparison. Before that, they had this one movie. I was talking to somebody about this today. They had this one movie. I don't know whether you remember this, Mike, but I know Aaron do, called War Games,
Oh yeah, yeah.
where you had this computer that basically took over NORAD and threatened World War III, and it locked down everything to where could nobody get into it, and he was, the computer basically thought it was a game,
Yep.
but it had tapped into NORAD and couldn't nobody get into it except this one kid. You know what I mean? And it started out as a game, and that computer program kept getting
Generating.
knowledge, and
Hmm.
it kept generating it until it was able to control everything.
Yeah,
And
and you just talked about the Skynet ordeal. Look at this. This is what Papa Penguin had sent me. He says, here's something for y'all to think about on a future diamond effect. When people talk about AI, they're mainly focused on the whole Skynet dystopian future. That is scary, but it's a generation or two away scary. The danger AI presents right now is this: it's a tool for governments. And how do governments use new tools? Surveillance and control, predictive policing and pre crime, behavioral engineering, automated bureaucracy, and military and national security. I mean, you absolutely were correct on that Skynet ordeal right there.
yeah, so like with that behavior engineering, what they're doing is that they can go through and pull you up and then rate you
Yep. On
as
like
in what's your
yeah,
chances for
like your
you
social
to commit a
scale.
crime or do this, or I mean, what's your percentage of you going to walk outside and kill somebody? You know what I mean? Are you a
It's like
good
a
person?
camera just
Are
goes
you
on to
50,
you, and
50,
it pulls up
whatever?
your name. It tells you, oh, 67% chance of a violent crime. You know what I mean? Like, isn't that crazy? That's
Exactly.
wild,
And then you have like over in China where they have the social credit scores, which is basically,
right?
you can get where they have cameras everywhere. So let's just say, for instance, that you jaywalking and that camera sees you, it'll automatically find you, take it out of your account, it'll post your picture all through your neighborhood to let you know, let everybody know that
Oh,
you just
hell
got
no.
that you just got fined, you got points taken off or whatever. Now, if you get so many points and you walk in the grocery store to buy groceries,
They'll
they're not going
deny
to let
you
you buy anything
eventually. Yeah.
because you score too low. You know what I mean? So everything is based on what you
Crazy.
do. You know what I mean? So you basically punish for any and everything that you do that they don't want you to do. And to the point that you can't get an Uber, you can't buy groceries, you can't do nothing. You know what I mean? Until
No Uber Eats for you.
right, until you raise that credit score. You know what I mean? Which is crazy because hell, some people already got badass credit as it is, more or less
That's
having a
me.
credit score. You know what I mean? Hell, I jaywalk all the time. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
I'm not gonna walk all the way up to the corner when I can just cut between this
You
car
gonna
and
tell a
go
one-legged
across the street.
man to go walk further than he has to? Nah.
Yeah, they don't give a damn. They don't give a damn. You know,
And then-
it used to be there used to be a saying I used to say all the time. Actually, I still say it to this time, to this day. I say, I work to live, I don't live to work.
That's right.
Now, that's more of a cliche
Yeah.
because, I mean, everybody, I know tons of people now that's working 2 jobs, some working 3 jobs. You know, the whole single parent household is basically done with that. You know what I mean? You coming up with other ways to do it. You know what I mean? Like you working these 2 jobs or one full time and two part times or whatever. But eventually that becomes too much. You know what I mean? Then you working out other ways. You know what I mean? You're gonna have somebody come in and stay with you, you know what I mean, help with the rent or whatever. Then that gets old. Then you decide that you're gonna, you know, maybe you do end up in a relationship where you have, you know, 2 people there that be able to merge your resources together, whatever. Even with that, you know what I mean, if you're not making enough, you're still gonna end up working 2 jobs.
Yeah, and this is why no one my age buys property. You know what I mean? Like no one sits here and goes, "Oh yeah, I see sustainability for the next 30 years." Definitely not. Are you kidding me? Unless
No.
we can buy it outright. A 30-year mortgage is something like we're looking at like there's no fucking way now.
But right now, no. I mean, it's especially being as high as the housing market is right now. I mean, a lot of these houses are over or well overpriced.
Yeah.
You know, and if that market drops, a house that you just spent $400,000 for that's only worth 150,000,
Totally.
you already in the hole 150,000. You know what I mean? Even if you try to sell it, you ain't gonna get your money back. You know what I mean? So unless you had property prior,
Welcome to 2007, 2008.
you be all right. Anything after that, like once this housing boom took up, anything that you bought from, I'd say from possibly 22, 23 till now is way higher than what it's worth. Way higher. But then now I know here in Florida, they got houses here. Swear to God, they got houses here that sits on like 0.03 acres, 900 to 1,000 square feet, and they want $200,000 for it. 250. Basically, the house ain't no bigger than a crack house for real. It's like a big shed. They want $250,000 for it. Ain't no way in hell.
Right.
But people been buying them.
Mm-hmm.
They've been coming down here,
That's the problem.
buying these high price bullshit houses,
Supply and
knowing
demand.
that if once that market drop, that house ain't worth nothing about 50, 60,000, if that. But everywhere they jacking them up. You know what I mean? Like especially here, they building houses here left and right. Not more houses. They building more apartment complex and like the little residential spots that's like the little gated community type joints.
Totally.
They building a lot of those. You know what I mean? And they putting
Housing
crazy
tracks
prices
and
prices on them. You know what I mean? But people from New York and up north and all them, they flood down here and they buy these houses and they pay these crazy
astronomical prices. Yeah. That
Right.
no one would normally spend.
Crazy prices. You know what I mean?
No local is looking at that and like, yeah, I'm gonna invest that much. Like,
Right.
that's great. Yeah, it's out of town money.
Well, you see, because Florida doesn't have a state tax. It's a Commonwealth state.
Right.
So it doesn't have a state tax, but it raises the price on everything else, though, to make up for the
It
fact that you don't have
compensates.
state tax.
Yeah, it compensates.
Exactly. So you automatically paying more. And right now, a lot of the produce, stuff like that, orange juice, stuff like that, all that stuff done skyrocketed here. Because the orange
And that
grows,
shit's
and the
made in
strawberry
there
grows, and
over
all
there
that
in
stuff.
Florida. What the fuck?
Shit, ice down here bigger than shit, bro. These motherfuckers is bouncing, bro. Ain't nobody working there. A lot of these construction spots,
It's like, see ya.
right? A lot of these big housing areas where they building and all that shit came to a standstill because once they realized that these boys are showing up, picking,
Yeah, ICE is showing up and
Gone.
picking them up. Yep.
gone. So
Makes
it's
sense.
raining, you know
Makes
what I
sense.
mean? So you getting all the weather, all that stuff, especially these houses that's not closed in yet. You know what I mean? It's raining in it, wood swelling, you know what I mean? And it's been super hot down here. It's been like some
Dude,
days it's been like
It's so hot
105
here
to
where I live
110.
too. I can only imagine down there.
Then it rains, you know what I mean? So everything gets wet, then it gets hot again. That wood is just doing this.
Yep. Expanding. Totally.
Right. And it's not being covered, so it's warping. You about to have more problems. You know,
Shit.
so it's a lot. I mean, it's like a trickle-down effect to a lot of this stuff that's going on. You
There's
know what I mean?
definitely
Like you may think that
byproduct to this.
right. So you may think on one end, like, okay, they doing a good thing by this here, but it trickles down and it affects everything else that's going on. I mean, so what do? You know what I mean? It ain't like you going now they talking about down here that they were going to like the people that had like SNAP benefits that was work. They was going to tell them that they had to go work at the farms and go out there and, like, you know what I mean, pick the oranges and the strawberries and all that shit, which a lot of them pitching a fit over that as well because ain't nobody trying to go out there in the farms. But you ran everybody out of Florida though. I mean, they've been running from Florida since last year when they put that one bill in place. People have been leaving Florida left and right. Especially down in Miami area and coming up the East Coast part of it, they've been getting the hell up out of Dodge. Ain't nobody been in Florida for real. A lot of them leaving Florida. You know, so you have a lot of the older people, the snowbirds, they'll come down here and buy places, and they bounce back and forth between Florida and New York, Florida and Georgia, whatever. They'll come back and forth, but the overall workers though, they leaving left and right. So you got anything, Aaron?
No, I'm done.
Yeah, this is a lot like I said, it's a lot going on. I think a lot dealing with this is that people really don't pay attention to this simply because, like I said, it's not really crunching on them yet. So being that it's not crunching on them yet, then they really, you know, a lot of them kind of turn a blind eye to it. It's like, oh, well, that's not really what's going to go on. This is just a bunch of, you know, shit, or it's a conspiracy theory or whatever. But you really need to pay attention to what's going on around you, because this stuff here is actually happening. You know what I mean? Because the middle class isn't just about money. It's about power. It's about privacy. It's about freedom. And if you take that, make us renters, gig workers, dependents, the elite control the future, not you. But here's the truth about it all. Once you see the game, you don't play the game the same. Start investing in your freedom. Buy land, build skills, disconnect from this matrix and reconnect with your people. Learn trades. I mean, actually pay attention to what's going on to support you and your family, because what they fear the most out of all of this is a population that thinks for itself, owns its own future, and refuses to bow down to this bullshit. You were never meant to stay in survival mode. You were meant to rise and shine like the diamond we all are. So best thing that I can tell you is stay sharp, stay sovereign, stay dangerous.
All right.
So that's my time. I'm
Okay.
gonna thank everybody for coming out once again. Like, follow, share, subscribe. On both channels, Mike and mine. Get this on the proper algorithm to get this out. These shows that we've been putting out, is a lot of good information that we're putting out here. And we're putting it out for a reason, because people need to wisen up. Like, open your eyes for a change and wisen up. That doesn't make you woke, it makes you aware.
Right.
So like I said, once again, thank you all for coming. And I'll see you all next week. Go ahead, Aaron.
Okay. In any survival situation, your first 3 days is survival. Day 4 and on, you're working toward building a life worth living. You're in a survival situation right now economically. And once you set the pace for your survival, then you work toward building a life worth living after that. Your goal is to work towards self-reliance and to be as independent from the system as you can. Because if you're relied upon the system, you're giving the power to someone to pull the rug out from under you anytime they get good and ready. I mean, I'll use the food stamps, for example. Anytime the government wants to shut that down, they can shut that down. Those people are in trouble immediately because they got nothing to fall back on. There's no backup plan to support it. 2 is 1, 1 is none. So be as self-reliant as you can. Like Bishop said, learn skills and be able to hand those skills down to future generations of the family, because they're going to need it in their future. And I'll stop there.
That being said, ladies and gentlemen, always appreciate everyone coming out. Make sure, like you Archbishop said, make sure you guys hit that like button. It helps out immensely. Stick around if you're on my side. We're going to be rating our buddy Grid 1 Motorsports, so stick around for that. Until next week, much love, honor, respect, everybody. God bless everyone.
Bye.